Hello, algebra students. Mr. Lawrence here, and here's the sequel to multiplying rads, dividing rads. Okay, again, Angela Demchuk asked about this. I recommend watching the multiplying one first if you haven't seen that yet. Stop this one, find that one, and then go ahead and watch it. All right, so dividing rads is done very much the same way as multiplying. I like to think about them division problems as fractions, as most of you know, and so that would mean that rad 60 divided by rad 10 is this. And just like in multiplication, I can put it under one rad. I can do that in division as well, which turns this into 6, right? 60 divided by 10 is 6. So this is the rad of 6. And 6 can't be broken down into perfect square factors. I mean, its only factors are 2 and 3. Obviously, 1 is trivial, so I'm not mentioning it. So I'm done. All right, well, a rad of 98 over 8, well, let's see here. Let's rewrite that as 98 over 8. And I know that can be simplified. I know a 2 goes into both, so I'm going to get 49 over 4, right? If I divide both by 2, see how I did that? I found the common factor of 2. Okay, now if you want, you can rewrite it as two separate problems. Rad 49 over rad 4, and then you can say, oh, well, that's 7 halves. Yeah, or 3.5. Yeah, that's what this equals, 3.5, believe it or not, or 7 halves. Now, the only danger in doing this, you have to be careful and make sure the denominator is a rational number. If you have a rad of a non-perfect square in your denominator, it's not rational, and you'll have to rationalize the denominator, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Oh, actually, I'm going to talk about it right now. Okay, so here I have 1 divided by rad 2. This is an irrational number. Mathematicians don't like to have irrational numbers. We like to have rational numbers in our denominators. So we're going to multiply this by the simplest number that will make it rational, and that would be rad 2. All right, but if I do that, it changes the fraction. So I'll do it to the numerator as well, and then I'm only multiplying by 1, right? Rad 2 divided by rad 2 is 1, so I'm not changing the value of the fraction. So in my numerator, I'm going to get 1 rad 2, or just 1 rad 2, and then rad 2 times rad 2 is 2, and there we go. All right, now on number 4, I've got 5 rad 7 as the irrational number. I don't have to multiply by the 5 because it's rational. I do have to multiply by the rad 7. So I'm going to multiply by rad 7 over rad 7. Remember, this is only a special form of 1. So my numerator will become 3 rad 7. Now when I do this, I'm going to get 5 times rad 7 times rad 7 is 7. 5 times 7 is 35. Did you need something, sweetie? No. Okay. And 3 doesn't simplify with 35. If it did, if that was a 36 down there, I would simplify it further, but we're done right here, okay? It gets a little stranger when you have an addition problem like this. It's not hard, it just looks a little different. I'm going to multiply this not by rad 3, because if I distribute a rad 3 through there, I'm still going to have an irrational number, right? Namely when I multiply the 1 times rad 3. So in this case, I'm actually going to multiply by 1 minus rad 3. And I'm going to use the idea from factoring of the difference of perfect squares. Of course, if I do it to the denominator, I have to do it to the numerator. So my numerator, I'm going to distribute the 6 here and here. I'm going to get 6 minus 6 rad 3. And I know Angela Demchuk, she's so smart. She is so smart, and she pays attention to everything I say. She's going to go, wait, Mr. Lawrence, you got an irrational number. But it's okay, Angela, because it's in the numerator. Mathematicians just don't like it in the denominator. Okay, it's okay to have rational numbers in the numerator. All right, why? Because that's just the established way to do mathematics. So everybody around the world is doing it the same. All right, this is a double distribution situation. So I'm going to do 1 times 1 and get 1. And then 1 times a negative rad 3. And then a rad 3 times 1, a positive rad 3. And then a rad 3 times a negative rad 3, which will be a minus 3, right? Because rad 3 times rad 3 is 3, and then one of them is negative. So when I combine those, these will cancel, and I'm going to get negative 2 in my denominator. All right, so I'm going to have a negative 2. Now, I see some simplifying that can go on. I'm going to GCF this numerator, and I'm going to pull out a negative 6. That'll leave me with a negative 1 plus rad 3. And I have a negative 2 in my denominator, and then the negative 2 will go into the 3 times. And the negatives are canceled, right? And so now I have 3 times the quantity of negative 1 plus 3, rad 3, excuse me. And then to distribute, I'm going to distribute to make it even a little bit simpler. So I'm going to get negative 3 plus 3 rad 3. Wow, that's a lot of 3's going on there, but that's just a coincidence. I didn't know that was going to happen. It's a lot of work, but there's nothing hard. You just have to persevere and stick with it. Okay, let's try it on this one. What do you suppose I'm going to multiply by? Well, I'm going to multiply by a 4 plus 2 rad 5. And when I do that, when I double distribute, the rads are all going to end up canceling out. In the denominator, that is. 2 rad 5. Okay, so I'm going to distribute in my numerator. I'm going to get negative 8. And then I'm going to get minus 4 rad 5. That's my numerator. Now my denominator, I'm going to do the work up here because it's going to get in the way. So I'm going to go 4 times 4, get 16. 4 times 2 rad 5 is going to be an 8 rad 5. All right, I've got a 4 times a negative 2 rad 5, negative 8 rad 5. Okay, I'm doing this multiplication now. And then here, I'm going to get 2 times 2 is 4. Then I'm going to have rad 5 times rad 5, which is 20, which is 5, and then 5 times 4 is 20. And one of them's negative, so I'm going to get a negative 20 here. So my denominator is going to simplify to a negative 4. Okay, looks like I can factor this further. Simplify this further. I'm going to factor out a negative 4 from my numerator, and that'll give me a 2 plus rad 5. Now I have a negative 4 in my denominator, and these will cancel because this is multiplication, and that's a division bar. And division can undo multiplication. So the simplest answer is 2 rad 5. And there you go. All right, let me know if that wasn't enough, and please, other people, send me questions. I'd love to put together a 5 or a 10-minute video for you, specifically just for you. I mean, everybody can watch it, but I'll gear it to you as personal as possible. Hey, by the way, those of you, second period, when I'm making this, I haven't, or excuse me, 7th period, I haven't graded your tests yet. I'll probably get to them Sunday afternoon. Second period and 8th period, there are some of you that just work so hard on that take-home test, and I'm so proud of you. Kevin comes to mind, Madison comes to mind, Fiorito that is, Angela comes to mind, Kaylee Kleckner comes to mind. There are a few other people that just work their butts off. There's some people that had a hard time but did okay, you know, got a C, B minus, and you know, I'm proud of you too. But some people who maybe don't always get A's just work their butts off and got really high grades. I'm so proud of you. Some of you didn't take it very serious and your grades suffered quite a bit. I hope that over the next few days you start taking it very serious because the final is important and it will affect your grade for the quarter. All right, that's it. Mr. Laurence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.